My name is Christy Busby, and you are about to listen to the next episode of my podcast called F.A.T.E. From Atheism to Enlightenment. So come on in, join me. We're going to talk about it all, from atheism to enlightenment. Alrighty, guys, here we go. Get ready, and welcome to your F.A.T.E. And we're rolling. Well, hey, everybody. How's everybody doing? I have been away for a few weeks, and I'm back now. I'm going to do a little episode today about where I've been, what I've been up to, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the state of our humanity. Where shall I begin? I guess I should start with a few weeks ago. I got scammed. I got all my money taken. They had control over my phone, my social media. They took my money. I mean, I have never felt so much panic, fear. I was absolutely out of my mind with feeling violated, feeling fearful, feeling anger, feeling despair. If you've been listening to this podcast at all, you know that I had been out of work for an entire year due to the film industry being on strike. I had just gone back to work. I had just been able to pull a paycheck in a very long time. And I had all my money taken from me. Now, I will say this. I learned a valuable lesson. It happened first thing in the morning. I got that text. Do you authorize a Zelle transaction? I was like, oh, no. They said a representative will be right with you. And I'm not really going to talk about what banking I'm with or any of that. It doesn't matter. The bottom line is I fell for it. They're very smooth. I gave them access to everything when I should not have. I was just in the moment of wanting to preserve my funds. And in that fear, I could not think properly. And I panicked and did everything they asked me to so I would not lose any money. And in the process of trying to regain control of my accounts, I lost control of everything. I lost control of my phone. They got into my social media. I had to do everything from freezing my accounts, freezing my credit cards, closing out my bank account, reopening a new bank account. I got a new phone. I mean, they literally had the ability to forward my calls. It was frightening. It was a feeling of violation that I've never felt before. And if you think I handled it like, I wonder what this is trying to teach me, I did not. I could not. You're so in the moment of being devastated that you've lost all your money. You don't know how you're going to move forward. You can't pay your bills. I've already maxed out most of my credit cards from the strike last year. It was a nightmare, a level of anxiety and stress that I had not had to endure in a very long time. Even throughout the strikes when I wasn't working, I was somehow managing to feel a level of control, a level of things were going to be okay. I was going to get through it. I was going to vibrate at a level in which the universe would bring me my highest and greatest good. And that did pan out for me. I did get through the strikes. Many people in my business are still out of work. Many. It is a scary time out there. So I couldn't be here and do a podcast. I couldn't interview anyone. I could not even think straight. I spent an entire week. I had to take a week off work to just allow myself to get ahead of it, so I could open new bank accounts, reset my auto pays, reset my passwords, freeze everything, put a pin on my taxes. I mean, you name it, VPN, everything. I did it all to protect myself. I am at the point now where there is nothing that's going to happen in any account anywhere without me getting some sort of notification. I even got a separate phone for just to do two-factor authentication because they had everything. They had my email, my phone number, my passwords, access to my computer. I mean, I gave it up, baby. I gave it up. I gave it all up. And it was the biggest mistake and a lesson learned. And I beat myself up about it enough. At some point, you have to put it in a bubble and blow it away and do the best to protect yourself and move on. But in these last few weeks, it was an extremely anxiety-provoking, traumatic situation. I am still not completely whole. In the course of all these terrible events, my health took a hit, and I probably was more devastated from my health rearing its ugly head again. I was probably more upset almost even from losing my money was the notion that my health was taking a hit and I was having symptoms again. And I felt like I had gotten to a point where I was worse than I had been in a long time, which was mentally very debilitating for me. Very, very debilitating. So not only did I have my money taken, my once thought healed self was no more. And it was, let's just say, I had some very dark times this last couple of weeks, and I am still digging myself out of it. But I decided that I was going to get back up on that horse and move forward and learn from this. And at the end of the day, I am not a guru. I did not react with the ability to rise above the occasion and vibrate at a level that would be appropriate or something that I would love to do if I was in that kind of traumatic situation. But life kind of takes you over sometimes, and your emotions are your emotions. And sometimes you feel them and you move through them, and then you realign yourself. And I'm in the process of doing that. I have been getting into a calm zone. I have been trying to do my best to feel feelings of gratitude, of joy, of calm, of calm, of calm. It is over. I am probably going to be made whole by the banks. It is on a where I'm waiting. At the end of the day, though, I'm being grateful that I do have a job, that I am pulling a paycheck, and that I am still in a better circumstance than many of the people that I know that are in the industry with me currently that are still not working over a year now. They've lost their homes. They've lost their cars. I mean, I am still with a roof over my head, and I am still working. And those are the things that I have to be grateful for, and I am. But I want to just talk a little bit today. I don't have any guests. It's just me talking about my crazy, crazy last few weeks of having, I never thought that I would ever feel that bad again. I just didn't think I would ever go backwards in my health. I didn't. But anxiety and stress and the inability to have any control over a situation. I had no control over this situation. It was like somebody took my control away and I had to endure the violation of losing everything and not feeling like I had privacy. They had my phone. They had literally had control over my phone for 24 hours. And it was only when I walked into AT&T to get a new phone that they're like, "Oh, there's call forwarding on this. There's somebody." I mean, it was scary. And when they went after my social media, I didn't even understand why. Apparently now it's like trying to steal my identity to maybe scam somebody else. I deactivated my Facebook account. I deleted my Instagram account for a while. And the odd thing is I was able to, okay, so my social media, this is what happened with social media. They were able to decouple me from my Instagram account, my F.A.T.E. podcast only, not my other one, which is just my dogs. And so I could look at it, but I couldn't, it was no longer mine. I couldn't manipulate it. It did not belong to me. What I ended up doing is getting on through my laptop, and somehow after an hour, I backdoored and I got the ability not to manipulate my account anymore, but I could delete it. So I deleted my Instagram account. I just got rid of it. I thought, you know what? Just going to take it down and oh well. And I took it down and deleted it. And the next day when I went to check, they had put up a new domain for F.A.T.E. podcast that was different than mine. It had an underscore instead of a dot, because mine is F.A.T.E.podcast. His was F.A.T.E.underscore podcast, which is different. So I was able to reactivate my account only because he didn't remember, or they, whoever, didn't remember exactly what my exact domain was. It's still out there. There's no pictures. There's no posts. But if you look it up, F.A.T.E. podcast with an underscore, it's there. I have no idea why. I don't know. To be cruel? To do what? Don't know what I have no idea what they were doing. I still don't have a Facebook account. I had to get rid of my Mr. Pickles and Maggie dog account. It just really led me to start thinking about the state of our humanity in the world and where is it? I just feel like we are at a tipping point when it comes to people doing terrible things to each other for money, for power, for status. And at the end of the day, I'm not coming from a place where I feel like the person who scammed me for all my money is a terrible person and needs to rot in hell. But what it does make me feel is that we are in a sad state of affairs when it comes to how people interact with each other, how they treat each other. I tell you what, I learned a little bit while I was off that year for the strikes. I learned that people don't get paid. They don't. People don't get paid. There might be a ton of jobs out there in the economy that are available, but they're not jobs that you can actually afford to survive on, not unless you're going to have 3 of them. I guess I just lived in a bubble. You know, I work in the movie industry. The movie industry is probably one of the last places where you can work and have one job and afford to live a decent middle class life. You work your butt off. I mean, the hours are insane. If you don't know anything about the movie industry, let me tell you, it is one of the toughest jobs that you can do. It is extremely challenging, dynamic. It's different. It takes a different animal to work in the industry. It really does. We are very much a bunch of traveling circus folks, gypsies, whatever you want to say. It's a certain breed. You got to hold on tight and you got to work hard and you have to have extremely good work ethic. And you can say a lot about Hollywood and the movies and the above the line, but the people that work in the actual movie industry, the below the line folks, the grips, the electrics, the prop makers, the artistry that goes into that, they are some of the most talented, hardworking, and beautiful people you'll ever meet. They really are. We work our asses off. We do. There's a documentary out there in the world called Who Needs Sleep? And it's about the movie industry and the fact that we really, truly do work 16, 17, sometimes 18 hours a day. It's a machine. I've been living in that machine for about 20 years now. And when I stepped out of that machine and I was on strike, and I was watching my other colleagues out there in the world trying to get a job that would pay them even remotely the same as they were getting paid in the movie industry. It was a feat that was never going to happen. There are no jobs that will pay you a decent living wage. The amount of money I make, I would probably have to be working as an executive at the executive level somewhere at at a big corporation. I get paid for what I do. I am a part of a union and I have good health benefits and I have a good wage and it allows me to not have to think about the price of gas or the price of groceries. Also, in all fairness, it's just me. I don't have kids. I'm not married. It's just me. So it's not like I have a huge overhead. And I'm in a sweet spot where I make enough money to where I am comfortable and where I'm not stressed, but where I'm not rich. And it is a luxury to not have to think about money all of the time. I can't imagine having to raise a child, having to have a family, and having to work 3 jobs in order to sustain yourself. And that is the situation where most people find themselves. It is unsustainable. And I completely and totally understand why people are doing terrible things because people are living in lack. People are living in despair. People don't have a way out. There is no empathy, compassion, or understanding for anybody who has not, quote unquote, made it. And I truly believe that we have to start looking at a different way to run our society that is not about shareholder profits, that is not about corporations winning and taking all, that is not about this over competition with each other. We are losing our humanity, and there's a section of people out there that have more money than they will ever need in 10 lifetimes. And yet they need more. They need more. I personally think that money, once you get a lot of it, it fucks you up mentally. I think money makes you lose your humanity, your connection, your ability to understand, to have empathy. And it becomes something that you're more afraid of losing. It becomes something that you don't ever want to give up. And it becomes something that psychologically isn't great for humanity. And I'm not saying that all rich people are psychos. What I am saying is I work in Hollywood and I work around a lot of rich and famous people. And if you think they're any happier than the poor dude, I would beg to differ. There's plenty of people that I work with that you would think would be pretty grateful, kind, and filled with gratitude to be in the position that they are in, and they are not. They are not. I find them to be just as angry and unhappy as somebody who's living paycheck to paycheck. So I don't really think money provides you with happiness. Money provides you with a level of comfort and luxury. I think we're addicted to luxury. I think that luxury is something that people want to live in, instead of going on a luxury vacation, they want to live in luxury 24/7 all the time. And I don't think that's good either. I really don't. You end up getting used to these situations and taking them for granted. And then it becomes a hole that you can never fill up. It's never full. And living in California for 20 years in a very expensive state and being around people that have means and money and power and looking at their lives as something that, I don't know, they can no longer identify with anybody that is not at their level. And LA in particular is such a microcosm of status seeking. Status. I mean, in LA, if you're not living, west of the La Brea or in Brentwood or, Malibu, I mean, this idea that you have to keep up with driving the right car, having the right job, living in the right area, or you very much are looked down upon. I can't imagine having a kid in LA and not being able to go to the right school or wear the right clothes or the bags and the shoes. I am so not interested in that. And I don't understand people that are. I don't, my bag, it works the same as if it's a $2 bag or a $2,500 bag. It holds my purse and my wallet. And beyond that, the attachment to bags in LA, I don't understand, nor do I want to. I'm good. You can keep your bags. I'm happy. I don't get it. At the end of the day, this is what I'm trying to say. We are living in a society now where people no longer have any control over their own lives. They are constantly having to think about how they're going to afford something. They don't have any time to themselves to even think about other things, the environment, other species on this planet that we used to care about, pollution. Politics is an absolute, utter disgrace and joke. People on the internet believe all kinds of things because they are just living in a world where they don't understand it. They don't understand how they can't get by anymore. They don't understand why people are doing so well and they're not. I was listening to something the other day and somebody described the United States as a third world country dressed up in a nice suit. And I thought that was an interesting take on America because I'm coming from a very interesting perspective. I've lived and worked all over this country in the last 20 years. I've lived in Florida. I've lived in Georgia. I've lived in Los Angeles. I've lived in Michigan. I have worked all over this country. I was over in Europe for a year in college. Like I have had a broad strokes view of this country and outside of this country. And when people talking about the United States, I think that United States is more like Europe. When I spent a year in Europe, you would hop on a train, you would go 4 hours and you'd get off the train and you were in a country that was speaking an entirely different language with an entirely different cuisine, with an entirely different culture. And it was fascinating. I loved it. It was amazing. And I feel like people think the United States is a monoculture or a monolith of people. And it could not be further from the truth. Let me tell you, LA is not coming to Nebraska, and Alabama is not coming to Los Angeles or California. And the Midwest is not going to turn into the South, and so on and so forth. And Boston's going to be Boston, and the Northeast is going to be the Northeast. Everywhere you go in this country, it's a different culturally, different food. People have different accents, different family lives, different way of worshiping, different family values. And this thought that we are all going to have one culture that fits one United States is just a very um hmm, short-sighted, dare I say stupid way to approach looking at the United States, which is a ginormous country. Ginormous. And that's why a lot of Americans don't even travel outside the States, because you could probably travel everywhere in this country your entire life and not see all of it. It is a huge country. And I wish people would understand that this level of fear that we have for each other, for each other's differences, for each other's perspectives, for each other's paths in this life is something that is being spoon-fed to us. And that if you are in a situation where somebody is telling you that 40 million people are thinking this, whether it be the wars that are going on out there, whether it be politics, whether it be sports, there is this oversimplification and lack of nuance in our dialogue today about most everything. And I think it's on purpose. We are not living lives that speak to our individual gifts, that speak to our individual soul purposes. I think Americans now are living mainly in survival mode, and they are entirely focused on how they're going to get through the next week, the next month, the next year, how they're going to pay for their children's college, how they're going to fund a retirement, how they're going to put food on the table. It is such a disservice to the life that we have on this planet, which should be filled with much more magic and creativity and learning. You know, everybody has their own things that their passions, the things that move them, the things that promote their heart to grow. And there's a very, very few people who get the opportunity to truly figure out what their passion is, where they want to be, what drives them. And I'm not saying I know all the answers, but I understand why people scam people. I understand why people are getting pushed to the point where they're going up and they're blowing somebody's head off because of road rage. I understand why there's tons of people out there stealing. There's just so much despair. There's so much corruption, whether it be corruption because of sheer criminality or corruption at every single corporation, government level out there. It is a bastion of just kill or be killed, eat or don't eat, and is driving people kind of crazy. People are doing desperate things. So although I'm not happy that the scammer did that to me, do I have a cognizant understanding of why people are doing what they're doing? Yes, I do. I do. I understand. There is just a lack of resources for people to get help, for people to get mental stability. We do not live lives that are our own. We basically are slaves to money until we die. And then you have another sector of our population, which is very small, that has more money than they will ever need, ever, ever, ever in 10 lifetimes. And it is a bottomless pit that they can't seem to fill up. I work in Hollywood. I'm around people that have power, people that have money, people that have status. And it is a rat race in itself. You have people in LA making $1 million a year, pretty much living paycheck to paycheck, losing their homes over that strike because although they were doing very well when they were working, when that spigot dries up, even for a little bit, you're going to lose your home. You're going to lose everything because you have to live in the right neighborhood. You have to drive the right car. You got to have the right shoes and bag. It is a competition for status and power and being included in the right scene and having access that is, I've always found extremely distasteful. But people, it is something that is within us where we cannot not feel included in something that we want to be included in. I don't know. I don't know what drives this status. I don't understand it. I just wanted to highlight that even though I was scammed, even though I lost all my money and my health went away, and I'm going to have to be doing a lot of different things to get it back online, I'm back on the podcast. I'm moving forward. I'm no guru. I had a terrible last few weeks. I hate the state of our country and how you can't trust anyone and you can't let your guard down. I mean, even 2 days ago, I got my car broken into. I mean, it is just nonstop. People are living in desperate times. They really are. It is a different world, and we're on the precipice of really losing our ability to identify, communicate, and be compassionate with each other. And I'm not doing that. I'm not going to lose my humanity. I'm not going to live in fear. I am not going to let what happened to me not allow me to have compassion and help someone else. I was watching the news the other day in LA, and this man was stabbing another man, and somebody was recording it. And there were people walking by on the street, not helping him, clearly seeing what's going on, just walking by. And I thought to myself, when did that happen? When did we not even pay attention to each other to the point where somebody could be getting physically assaulted and stabbed and you are going to mind your own business and keep walking? Like, is that where we're at now, these days? Like, what? It was disturbing to watch the stabbing, but it was even more disturbing to watch the people walk by and not do anything, not help, not call 911, didn't even acknowledge it was happening. Now, is that not bizarre? I thought it was bizarre. Anyways, I'm not going to talk forever. This is going to be a short little half-hour show. It's just me. I just wanted to let you know what happened to me, give you my perspective on some things and how sad it makes me that we can't come together in any real way as human beings. So anyways, folks, that's where I was. I had all my money taken. I was invaded in every way under the sun, and I had to run full steam ahead to try and get ahead of it so I could hang on to whatever I had left. And I'm going to be okay. I'm still living in gratitude. I am not living in fear anymore. I let those emotions wash over me. I dug deep and I got back up on my horse and said, I'm going to move on. At some point, You have to stop beating yourself up. You have to live through it, put it in a bubble, blow it away, and move on. And I've learned a lot from that experience. I know it would never happen to me again. I am so much more protected. So that's my plan. I hope you'll continue to listen. I've actually got some pretty cool guests coming up, but I am back. I'm going to keep doing this podcast and talk about things that I feel are worthy of talking about, whether it be humanity, spirituality, the state of the world. I'm going to talk about it all, from atheism to enlightenment. Next week, I'm going to be having Dave Schrader. He is the host of Paranormal 60. We talk about things that are paranormal. We actually talk about human consciousness and humanity as well. It's actually a really great talk, and he's a good man with a deep well of wisdom, and I really enjoyed our conversation. I have Kimberly Meredith coming up. They call her the psychic surgeon. She lays hands on people and heals them. She has books out. It's scientifically documented. I can't wait to get a healing from her myself. And I have some other guests coming up. Randy just got back from the jungle. She went and sat with some shamans and had a healing. I'm going to have her on. We're going to talk about her experience. I'm probably going to be going into the jungle myself this summer and doing a shaman healing. So I will be bringing you all that. And until then, guys, I hope you keep listening, keep joining me. And if you want to follow the show, I still have my Instagram account up. It's F.A.T.E.podcast, F.A.T.E. podcast. And I have my YouTube channel where you'll see me at F.A.T.E. channel on YouTube. Join me there. Take a look. Until then, I'm going to keep healing. I'm going to keep vibrating my good vibes, and I'm going to hope everyone out there does the same. Until next time, guys, welcome to your fate. Bye.